The clinking of crystal glasses and the murmur of polite conversation filled the air as Arthur, CEO of Reese Industries, raised his champagne flute. Lilian, his wife of 25 years, sat across from him, a smile strained on her face. It was their annual company dinner, an occasion usually filled with laughter and camaraderie. But tonight, a storm brewed beneath Lilian's calm facade. "Tonight," Arthur began, his voice booming, "I want to make a toast to new beginnings. For some time now, Lilian and I have agreed to go our separate ways." A collective gasp rippled through the room. Lilian's smile faltered, but she kept her eyes fixed on her lap. Arthur, oblivious to his wife's turmoil, continued, his arms snaking around the waist of a young woman standing beside him. "And this," he declared, gesturing towards the woman, "is the reason for that new beginning. Jessica, my fiancée." Lilian's blood ran cold. Jessica, the fresh-faced marketing intern, barely half her age. All the late nights, Arthur claimed, were spent working on acquisitions. All the whispered phone calls, they all made sense now. The humiliation burned through her, but Lilian, a woman of steel forged in the fires of a corporate world dominated by men, wouldn't crumble. The dinner continued in a blur. Congratulations showered upon Arthur and Jessica, while Lilian sat silently, her mind churning. As the guests began to leave, Arthur, his face flushed with champagne, approached her. "Lilian, darling," he slurred, a smirk playing on his lips. "Don't be too upset. You'll get a hefty settlement, enough to live comfortably." Lilian stood up, her voice cold and controlled. "Don't underestimate me, Arthur. This isn't over." The following weeks were a mess of lawyers and accountants. Lilian, fueled by a potent mix of anger and a steely determination, meticulously combed through the company's books. Years of experience as Arthur's silent partner, the woman who handled the intricate financial details he didn't understand, gave her a distinct advantage. Late one night, buried under a mountain of paperwork, Lilian stumbled upon a discrepancy. A series of offshore accounts, hidden under a maze of shell companies. Arthur had been funneling company funds for years. The truth slammed into her, his lavish spending, the extravagant vacations. It had all been at the expense of the company they built together. Lilian knew this was her trump card. She presented the evidence to her lawyer, a woman named Julia, known for her ruthless negotiation tactics. Julia, a shark in a power suit, saw the potential for not just a good settlement, but a public takedown. "Lilian," Julia declared, her eyes gleaming, "we're not just going after your fair share. We're taking him down. Everything he's built, exposed for what it is, a house of cards." The plan was audacious. Lilian would confront Arthur and Jessica, expose his infidelity and financial crimes, all recorded on video. Julia would then leak the video to the press, turning Arthur's carefully crafted image into a crumbling facade. The confrontation took place in Arthur's opulent office. Jessica, bewildered by the sudden turn of events, watched in horror as Lilian laid bare Arthur's lies. The accusation of financial misconduct hit him like a physical blow. Denial turned to anger, then finally to a desperate plea for forgiveness. But Lilian was no longer the woman Arthur had taken for granted. She stood tall, her voice devoid of emotion, as she demanded a full financial disclosure and complete control of Reese Industries as part of the divorce settlement. Arthur, cornered and with his reputation in tatters, had no choice but to agree. The video, strategically leaked to a network known for its investigative journalism, unleashed a media storm. Headlines screamed about CEO fraud and a scorned wife's revenge. Arthur's carefully cultivated persona crumbled overnight. He became a pariah, ostracized by the very industry he once ruled. Lilian, on the other hand, emerged from the shadows. Her quiet strength and strategic brilliance were revealed as she took the reins at Reese Industries. She instituted a new leadership style, demanding accountability and transparency. Her steely gaze and unwavering resolve commanded respect from even the most seasoned board members. The transition wasn't without its challenges. Employees, used to Arthur's bluster and charm, had to adjust to Lilian's directness. But her focus on results and her commitment to ethical practices soon won them over. Reese Industries, under Lilian's leadership, weathered the storm, emerging stronger and more respected than ever before. 1 year later, Lilian stood on a stage, addressing a room full of investors. Gone was the woman who had once stood beside Arthur, silent and supportive. In her place was a leader, a woman who radiated power and confidence. Her tailored suit fit her impeccably, not hiding her curves, but accentuating her strength. As she spoke, her voice was firm yet clear, outlining the company's vision for the future with a strategic brilliance that captivated the audience. There were whispers in the crowd, of course. Whispers about her ruthless tactics, about how she'd emasculated Arthur. Lilian ignored them. She knew what it was like to be underestimated, to be dismissed as the silent partner. Now, she commanded attention, not through charm, but through competence. One day, Julia, her lawyer-turned-trusted advisor, came into Lilian's office, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "There's an interesting development," she began, handing Lilian a tablet. On the screen was a news article, headlined "Jessica sues Arthur Reese for fraudulent investment scheme." Lilian raised an eyebrow. Jessica, the woman who had fallen victim to Arthur's deceit, the woman Lilian had initially felt a flicker of sympathy for, was now determined to seek her own form of revenge. "Seems Arthur made some reckless promises," Julia observed. "Promises he couldn't keep." Lilian leaned back in her chair, a satisfied smile playing on her lips. Arthur's fall from grace was complete. Not only was he financially ruined, but he was now embroiled in another legal battle, his reputation further tarnished. "Does she need our help?" Lilian asked, a hint of amusement in her voice. Julia shook her head. "No, she has her own team. But I thought you might find it entertaining." Lilian chuckled, a sound that surprised even her. The anger that had fueled her initially had faded, replaced by a quiet satisfaction. She had not only protected what was rightfully hers, but she had also built something stronger in its place. Reese Industries, under her leadership, had become a company built on integrity and innovation. One evening, Lilian was leaving the office when she saw a young woman struggling with a heavy box of files. Recognizing her as an intern from the marketing department, Lilian offered to help. The young woman, Emily, a bright-eyed college graduate, looked up at Lilian with a mixture of nervousness and awe. "Thank you, Miss Reese," Emily stammered. "You really don't have to." Lilian smiled. "Nonsense. We all need a helping hand sometimes." As they walked down the hallway, Lilian engaged Emily in conversation. She learned about Emily's passion for marketing and her dreams of one day leading a campaign. Lilian saw a spark in the young woman's eyes, a hunger to learn and grow, a reflection of her own younger self. "There's no reason you can't achieve that," Lilian said, her voice filled with a quiet encouragement she hadn't known she possessed. "This company is full of opportunities for those willing to work hard." The encounter left Lilian with a renewed sense of purpose. She wasn't just rebuilding Reese Industries, she was also nurturing the next generation of leaders. Her journey, from a wife betrayed to a leader reborn, was far from over. But as she looked towards the future, she did so with a newfound confidence, knowing that her greatest revenge was her own success.